Survivor News.
Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News.
Survivor News. Survivor News.
Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News.
What's up? It's Brice.
It's your boy Wendell.
And it's Jack, and we're your baby boys.
Get ready for a new episode of
Survivor News.
And we are back this week. The trio of your baby boys reporting on Survivor Season 44, Episode 11. Let's welcome back to the podcast. You may know him from Netflix Season 2. You might even know him from the new headshots that he has dropped on the Instagram. Or, wait a minute, you know I got to rep my set. The graduate of the University of Chicago.
He said it right.
The
Put
baby
it on!
boy.
Put it on!
The baby boy.
I
The
see
baby
you.
boy that is Jack Atkins. Welcome him back to the podcast.
I see you. Thank you for having me.
Okay. And hailing from Ardmore, Pennsylvania, fresh out of couples therapy. Got a little awkward last week, but thank goodness we had a recent graduate of Chicago University diagnosing us with University of Chicago diagnosing us with separation anxiety. You might know him from the first merge boot of Winners at War, or you might have read that new People magazine, The GOAT, coming out on Amazon Freebie. Let's welcome to the podcast, the Win, the D, the He. When DZ was popping.
What's going on? What's going on, gentlemen? Great to be back. Glad to be here. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
We are excited to be back recording. We had a great episode. Got a little awkward, but when DZ and I are happy to report, we are in a much better place. Okay. We just had our party in Philly. No issues. These were smooth sailing. We even took photos together. Wendell looked to me while we were taking photos, and he looked to our photographer. He said, "I'm really glad Brice pulled me aside to take our photos. He stopped doing this for a long time." I said, "Oh, look at Wen DZ."
I didn't say all of that.
Oh, you didn't say it?
I said, "Hey, Dame, we hire a photographer every event." And I started realizing why we hire a photographer for every event.
Why
And
is
that's
that?
so that they can take great shots of just Brice and Brice alone. So I'm glad that I'm allowed to take a photo or two with my buddy.
Jack always gets a great shot when he is with us as well. But yeah, we just came back from Philadelphia, and did we have a time in Philadelphia? Okay, the energy was electrifying. It was amazing. Philly showed out. Philly has not showed out like that in a long time.
It's been a while since Philly came out and did all of that. Like, I don't know. It's been a few seasons since that has happened. So yeah, Philly did it big. We appreciate them. I was getting Boston energy in Philly as far as like the electricity in the room.
The weather was nice. The music, DJ Caution had the music. Jumpin' Miss Barb was in the building. James Jones was spinning around with his birthday cake. Did you see that on his
I didn't see
story?
it. I'm sure I'll see it. I'll see it.
James Jones, shout out to Owen, Jesse, shout out to Mariah, Lindsay, shout out to and shout
Brand
out
Flakes
to
was in there.
Brand Flakes, our Philly influencer.
Who else was in there?
Oh, baby, we brought the queen, the legend. Okay, she only comes out for people that she loves, and she definitely loves us. Cerie Fields was in the building. It was crazy because I think people, when they think of Cerie, they think of like Cerie's first season, and Cerie looks a lot different. And Cerie is like so short and petite. And it's so funny because James Jones, here we go. Not an episode without James Jones story. So we're at our, pregame event, and James Jones instantly couldn't help himself, ran up to Cerie. And Cerie was like, "Hey, baby, how you doing?" And then James comes back to me. He was like, "God darn it, she's so disarming. I couldn't vote her out if I wanted to." I was like, James, like, this is not like, that's what you think when you meet survivors?
That's very James of him.
He's like, I couldn't vote her out if I wanted to. She's so darn disarming. I was like, okay, James. But yeah, Philadelphia. Who else did we have? Didn't we have somebody from Australia?
A special guest,
Yes, whose birthday was it? Oh, okay.
James and Miss Barb, and Taylor from Canada, who helped us out in Canada. She helped us out with like the volunteers and all of that stuff, and the
And big
auction and everything.
yes, that's right. And then
Yeah.
Big Brother Canada 10 was in the building. The baby boy Moose. I'm gonna have to tell you all a story about that. Then we had Jay. Okay, love Jay. And we had Josh. Y'all know I love Josh. And then, Spicy Bricey came out for just a little bit, Jack. But I was able to maintain myself because we met. When did we meet? We met Moose in Hearts of Reality with you and loved Moose. And, Moose out here doing great things. And so it was Moose's birthday. And Wendell and I sent him a gift. And just a very particular gift. I figured it was like very Moose-esque. And I got a little receipt delivered, signed. And I ain't never hear nothing. And so I've been brewing with Wendeezy, like, I'm going to say something. And Wendell's like, don't. He probably just didn't know if you send a gift. So I had this whole plan in my head that when I would see Moose, I would say hi to Jay and Josh. And then just like, I had this whole thing. And then I'm like, oh, I didn't see you there. I was with my package. But the way they came in, it didn't happen. Now, why I think like that, I don't know. But I pulled Moose to the side and I was like, I'm mad at you. And then Moose was like, oh my God, I thought that was from you, but I wasn't sure. And so it was really a big misunderstanding.
Wait a minute. You didn't have a from on the.
No, I did.
You didn't tell me.
I did.
You didn't say that it wasn't from us.
Oh, there was a whole note.
There was not.
There
didn't know who it was from.
He did. That was his excuse because then I was like, well, when I text you, then you were like, oh, he just said that he was so busy. But being the mature, level-headed person that I am, Jack, I allowed him grace. And we had an amazing time. And we love Moose. He's so funny. We love Jay. We love Josh. It was like, Big Brother Canada was in the building. Like, and now all of a sudden, here goes James. I'm trying to kick it with my mom. First of all, James freaked out meeting Miss Barb. Then James is like, Brice, I think I would be good on Big Brother. I was just talking with Jay and Josh, and I know I could beat them. I was like,
did James ever leave the game?
I don't think so. And mind you, he just comes up to me. Like I'm just literally kicking it with my mom. And he comes up and he's like, Brice, I could win Big Brother. I was like, okay, JJ.
Yeah. James could be my favorite now. There was a point in time when James would go to events and he'd be a little standoffish.
Yeah.
Brice and I had a few conversations with James. He changed. He went the complete opposite way now.
Opposite.
There's not someone that he's not talking to or getting a drink with or grabbing the mic from Hatch and Caution or dancing with somebody.
To the point that when he takes photos with people, he has to come find me and be like, I just took a photo. You see me, perp? I'm like, yes, James. But listen, we love James. And Philly, with Philly done, that only means one thing left. But we are headed to the brook. Bump, bump, bump. We is headed to the brook. Bump, bump, bump. We headed to the brook. Bump, bump, bump. I guess that was a little jazz. We are headed to Brooklyn, a 2-day event, May 23rd. We are doing Real Talk with mental health and reality TV. We've got amazing panelists, and it's a free event. You can click the link in the Brice and Wen Present bio, and we have a welcome party at Bounce Nightclub. That's going to be a fun time. And then the main event is the 24th over there at Berry Park in Brooklyn. And I don't know if you could see, but we can't even name all of the guests that we have. Legends from, somebody said they can't wait to see Gabler and Eliza in the same building. Okay, I said, okay, we got Cash, we got Jack, we got Owen, we got Jesse, we got Will and James, we got Carla, we got Evie, we got Tiffany, we got Mike Turner, we got James Jones,
Brooke Cam High, Sammy, Cache,
Owen,
Jack Atkins.
I mean, whoo,
Brett LaBelle, and
Whoo, tell him when. Whoo, it
This
ain't even over. Whoo,
this
and
is half the
whoo,
list. Half.
who let the dogs out? Whoo, whoo.
Woo, woo, woo.
Okay, with our special host Hi is special hosting with us. If anyone knows Hi is such an amazing fostering person of the Survivor community. Anyone that knows Hi loves Hi, and so it is only right that Hi help us bring in the welcome party. And if anybody know Hi, y'all know Hi can party. Okay, Hi can party.
It's going up.
So all things are leading to Brooklyn. The tickets is going. So if you are thinking, if it's a thought, if it's a Miller thought, it would behoove you to click the link in the Brice and Wen Present Instagram bio. And if you feeling down, you feeling, your spirit ain't right, you better go over there to J Ackers 21 and look at Jack Ackers' new headshots looking like a zaddy, okay? Baby boy is out there. But Brice and Wen Tour 44 has been so successful, so amazing. And we want to end it with a bang. And if you were in LA, Wendell, what would you tell them about Brooklyn?
If I was in LA?
If they, you know how LA was.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. You guys, you came to our LA party and it was one for the ages. You know what to expect in Brooklyn. We'll start by saying that. And the venue in Brooklyn is 2 times as big as the venue from LA. Ooh. So that means that we can just have like a lot more reality people and a lot more, as Brice would say, accoutrements. Those.
A lot more places for Jack to find a speaker to hide under and watch the final movie.
And maybe
a little shed a tear.
Oh, yeah.
Get emotional.
So, yeah, we will see you there. When DZ, help me out. Jack, stay ready. I'm Mama, Miss Ivana. Usually rock the Prada, sometimes Gabbana. Stick you for your riches and your Jaja Gabor.
Did me more. Prince Diane and all
them rich.
Hummer for the summer. I follow in the E-class with the model. 96 models. Tell them how we roll.
Cruise control. Nothing make a woman feel better
than Buttretters and Amarettas.
Butter
letters and mad cheddar.
Stick it for your riches and your creams. Jaja Gabor, I'm running it back for him.
Butter letters and mad cheddar.
Stick it for his pesos. Try to for his say so. If you say so, then I'm the same that you want to get with. If not, don't test the poon 90.
I got no time for fake ones. Just sip some crystal with the real ones. From east to west coast, spread love, son.
And while you
keep talking, we count bank funds.
Jackery.
Because we did a good rendition for you. You better know it.
No jazz numbers were in there.
Yeah, I definitely don't know that one.
So let me give you a hint. Okay, I'll give you a hint.
I'll take a hint. I feel like it's in a like a certain category of rapper that I feel like I would know the person, but I don't know it like off the top of my head.
So you might not know the person. I'll give you a hint. Think Brice Isaiah.
If you don't get it off of that hint.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, no matter what people say, we got to
moving on. What you coming? I'm just trying to be me, doing what I gotta do.
Why you keep hating on me and my crew?
No, I'm saying, QB, look at them and look at you.
True. If I was you, I hate me too. Louis Vuitton shoes and a whole lot of booze. Everywhere.
Every other week, another crew. You don't know that one? I get paid just laying in the shade. Taking pictures with a glass of lemonade.
Okay.
This was at the end of the episode because then at least I could log off all embarrassed. And
nope, you were gonna start off. Okay, so will this one? If you don't get it, Jack, if you don't get this one,
spring break.
It's giving immediate eviction. James Jones has won this season of Big Brother, and you are gone. I've been gone for a minute now. Back with the jump off. Goons in the club. Case something
Jumps
buff.
off.
Back up
Okay,
for the
I know
high
the
tech.
artist already.
Off.
You said who?
I think I know the artist already.
Okay, well that's all. That's all we want from you at this point, Jack.
Is Lil Kim?
What's he looking at though, Bryce?
It's on my phone.
He's on his phone.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'm focused. Is
All
it
right.
called The Jump Off, Lil Kim?
That was that song, but the first song was called No Time.
Was that by Lil Kim?
They all had been Little Kim.
Oh, I thought the first two were by a dude.
No, Lil Kim rap hard. That's back hardcore days.
He does, yeah.
Y'all ready for me?
Okay. Oh, you know, Jack is like, when are we getting to the episode? Put a note in them for their fifth.
I'm just glad I got one.
I
Hold on a
mean,
second.
barely.
That one I remember you did karaoke in South Africa.
I did.
Oh, he did.
Smell the rim of that bottle, though, Wendell.
Whoa. Whoa.
What does this smell like?
It smells like old plastic because this has been sitting here for a long time. I shouldn't be drinking this.
Okay. What you
Let
got
me
for
get back
Jack
in my
Okay.
zone. Boom, 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 boom. Gonna tell me what you gonna
do
when it ain't nowhere to run. Judgment
What you
comes for
gonna
you when
do?
judgment comes. Now tell me
Me.
what you gonna do when it ain't nowhere to hide. Judgment comes for you, cause this is my body, and this is my body, and the new skies got it, and I'm gonna miss everybody. Like that morning, hey, look to the watch, that ain't way too just to make it too deep for me to say, but listen to the beat. Tell me to cease the beast, and it ain't right that name's away. Look at that, blood, you laid it, put it up, 24/7. God, so thing. Give me that basic, checks the thing, and I'm like this, look at it, look. Ooh, what can we do? Can I get us do? Can I get a witness? Some of that. So, hey,
Tell me
hey,
what you gonna do? Ain't no way by.
when judgment comes
come
for
for
you, cause
you.
it's gonna come. Tell me what you gonna
do
when it ain't nowhere to hide.
What
Judgment
come
comes
for
from
you?
It's
I will say, I think that was one of y'all's best performances. Wendell, you were in your zone, but I do not know who that was.
And I'll see you at the
Crossroad,
where you ain't be lonely. See you at the crossroads where you ain't be low. See you at the crossroads where you won't be lonely. See you at the crossroads where you won't be lonely. And I'm gonna miss everybody.
Said I'm gonna miss everybody.
Home, home. And I'm gonna miss everybody. And I'm gonna miss everybody. And I'm gonna miss everybody. Home, home. And I'm gonna miss everybody.
There's definitely some first-time listener trying to listen to the episode breakdown 18 minutes in on this podcast.
Jack, you can't get away from it. Okay. At this point, you just got to take a guess. Now, I wouldn't know the songs, but this is what I will say. When DZ did a good job with the harmonies, because all I got to hear is that, and I would just,
it was a very specific, like, vocal artist, like the way you,
the way I vocalized, and I did my own background music.
I'll give you a hint. It is a group.
You're about to mess him all the way up now.
And I gave him a hint already, but he ain't peep it.
It's not I'll have a guess that I think is like a reasonable guess.
That's all we want, Jack.
Probably wrong, because whenever you guys just tell me, oh, just guess.
And then we roast them. Like, get them out of here.
The people in the comments be like, Jackery is over, y'all.
All right. I'm just probably wrong. I'm gonna say Boys to Men.
I mean, all things considered, Jackery, I am proud of you, because
It's in the same category, right?
Not the same category, but I would say it is the same era of.
Not only is it the same era, but generally speaking, Boys to Men are from Philadelphia, which is in Pennsylvania, and I believe this other group is
Is
from Cleveland, which is in
California.
Ohio, which is just a state over.
I could sense the regional.
I know you
okay.
can. You did good at that.
Okay, well, it is Bone Thugs and Harmony.
I've never heard of those.
Also, shout out to the Jack Shack. We saw y'all in the comments this week. Y'all was taking up for the baby boy.
Guys, yeah. After last week, I was a little nervous because I was like, I felt like I maybe came a little too hard at Franny. But it was all love. But just to hear that people appreciated the insights and the realness.
Oh,
Take a real one.
Shout out to the Jack Shack.
One of the people that was commented, their name is like Jack A, and I was like, "Is this Jack with an alias writing about himself?"
sounds like something Brice would do.
Right on me. Nah, I've heard there's some drama with Twitter aliases, so I would never do it. I would never participate.
So now that we're at the 20-minute mark, we've done our pre-potting, and now it's time to talk about the episode. Am I right? 20 minutes in, that's what we do.
I think that's the good starting point.
That's the sweet spot.
But if you want to talk about Twitter drama for a minute,
Oh, I don't know what you're about to go, but dial me in and make Jack more anxious.
No, I heard about some of this yesterday, but I'm still not clear like what it is. So
I haven't heard anything because I've been in my bed working.
Ooh.
whoa,
What kind of work you doing?
whoa. Ooh.
Whatever the type of work I do, it is work. Okay.
Kick him out of his own pod.
Wait, somebody fill me in on the beef.
Well, in spicy tweets news, you want me to start with the good tweet or the bad tweet?
Start with the good tweet.
Because there's one very positive tweet, and then there's one tweet that's a little spicitive. Okay.
All right.
Spoiler alert, because it's in reference to the person who goes home.
Okay.
But we're potting about it. Claire_Rapson tweets, maybe he should have practiced a little more breath work. Spicy. 54 retweets, 11 quotes, 1,378 likes, and 8 bookmarks.
This was the good tweet?
No, this is the spicy tweet.
Oh. Okay.
What do we think about that? All right. Well, a good tweet from Claire was, quick life update. Thrilled to announce that I've been selected at as a Knight Hennessy Scholar at Stanford GSB to pursue an MBA this fall.
Damn.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah. So I saw those tweets. I was like, wow, she had the spicy tweet last night. And then I saw this one today. And I'm like, y'all better retweet the good as much as y'all are retweeting the spice.
Yeah. I guess Stanford liked the spicy tweet.
Maybe they did. Maybe that was what accepted her.
Yeah.
Let's get into the episode.
Okay.
Unless you have another spicy tweet, Brice.
I don't have a spicy tweet.
I heard about some other stuff, but
well, what did you heard about, Jack?
I don't want to talk about it on the podcast because I don't really know, so I don't want to be airing people out when I don't have the facts.
I think I know what you're talking about, and I think it has to do with fake accounts, maybe.
Oh. So because I'm like totally not dialed in. But so are people alleging that people on this cast have fake accounts and are like,
yeah, and saying some see, that's why I don't really want to go.
So you don't have to say names, but that's
apparently it's allegedly like someone might have like a burner account and they were liking like politically yeah. So that's the thing. I don't know if anything was like insensitive or if it was just like, you know, politics that people didn't agree with. Because for me, I'm not super political, so I never like to judge someone based on their political views. I like to judge people on their character, but obviously there's a certain line where things could get a little blurry. But I got to do my own investigation on it before, so I
Right.
dive into it. But
Okay. Oh,
I want to look into it.
y'all putting the tea on me. I ain't here. I
Brice, where you been at? Working in bed, I see.
okay. Well, all
And
right.
now
Well,
we are at the 25-minute mark, which means
Jackery, take us away.
Yeah. So great episode we talk about. We get back to camp after Franny goes home. Carolyn was left out of the vote, and she's visibly frustrated with Carson and Jam Jam since they've been a trio the whole game, and they excluded Carolyn, and she kind of just gets into it with them a little bit, and she's not super private about it. And Carson and Jam Jam are trying to do damage control. Like this is kind of like the setting the tempo for the episode. I don't know. What do you guys make of this situation? Like, obviously, just them leaving her out of the vote, but also, if you're Carolyn, but also if you're Carson and Jam Jam, how do you kind of mend these fences?
well, I think we could have all predicted that if Carolyn is to be left out of a vote and by her, her tightest allies, that they would hear it. This is we know Carolyn, she is vocal about how she feels. She's expressive. And yeah, she got back and she let Jam Jam know. And Jam Jam was like, hey, can we talk about it? Let's talk about it. And she wasn't with it,
And I also thought it was interesting because Jam Jam was like, well, you did it to me. Like, and Carolyn was like, that was weeks ago. This is right now. And the thing that I like about the Tinka 3 is that we don't see this a lot in Survivor, in the new era of Survivor, but they're really connected. Like, I feel like they are friends and they have bonded. And so, which is why I feel like Carolyn is so upset. And, Carolyn plays her heart on her sleeve. And like, I trusted you guys and you guys could have told me. And they pulled a move on her. But Carolyn let them know. But also Carolyn's like, give me some time now. This is where I connect with Carolyn. Because when I'm hot, I'm hot. When Spicy Bricey is out, Spicy Bricey is out.
No.
And, I don't love it when Spicy Bricey comes out. However, when I'm able to reel him back in, I, can take accountability. I can see things clear. But, we had a little spicy Carolyn. She was out, and rightfully so. She really bonded with Franny. Franny had to stand up in that tribal and take her belt off and give it back to Carolyn.
Yeah. I had something to say and then I kind of forgot it.
Jackery?
Yeah, we see a lot of, Carolyn's kind of the star of this episode, and she's played very. It's like, but she's not afraid to be emotional, but she's also been playing a very thoughtful game. And I think that is such a good blend, a very fun blend to watch, but something that I guess the viewers and the players need to sort of parse out. Like we see later in the episode, I think some people mistake her emotion as like a lack of strategy when that's clearly not the case. So we'll get more into that later, but as it stands, Carolyn, Carson, and Jam Jam are on rocky ground. But at the same time, we see that Danny received a lone vote at the last tribal, and it actually turned out to be, arguably his closest ally in Heidi, which still not completely sure of the logic in how that worked out. I'm guessing she must have just thought the numbers were going towards Danny and wanted to be in the majority, and no one told her otherwise. But she attempts to cover up this mistake or this stray vote. Lies about the fact that she says she voted for Franny, and tries to pin it on. I think she tries to pin it on Franny, which is the obvious person, I guess, to pin it on because she isn't there to defend herself. But there's also ramblings that Jam Jam might have been the vote for Danny, especially because he came to Danny and told him that it was Heidi, like telling the truth, but Danny just wasn't buying it. But so with this whole stray vote situation, what do you guys think about it in this instance? But also, like, if you were caught in Heidi's shoes, are you coming clean? Are you lying about it? Like,
I feel like last week we got a little spicy. Heidi came out, and when Danny told her, like, look, sis, this is what I'm doing. I don't really need you, but I'm just letting you know, she said, time to take him out, time to make my move. This is what I will say. I hope that, Danny does breath work, he does all that stuff. I hope Danny never opens up a polygraph company, because I don't know how accurate his polygraph company would be, because last week we got somebody like Jamie that is like, dear Garnet G Galileo, I didn't, guys, Kane left with my idol, my heart is beating, and I just want you guys to know that I don't have an idol, okay? As pure as Jamie is, okay? Daddy's like, she's lying. Okay. Now we got somebody like my good sis Heidi, who don't ever, first of all, she don't never tell you no information she don't want you to know. Okay. They like, who? Who said that? Who voted for Daddy? Heidi like, I don't know. Franny did. Then Jam Jam is like, I want you to know, Heidi voted for you. He come to Heidi, was like, Heidi, Jam Jam said it was you. Heidi was like, I don't know. I don't know why he. I don't know why he would say that. I don't know why he would say that. It probably was him. Danny's like, you're right. I believe you. You're telling the truth.
yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, so Jack, you say, what strategy would you employ? Heidi did the deny till you die, and it seems like it worked.
It seems like it worked.
Yeah. It definitely works here, and I think that's generally the strategy. But I think sometimes, if the person is actually, because I feel like Day doesn't really have a reason to be suspicious of her. But if he was already suspicious of her, I feel like if you keep denying, it just makes you look more suspicious. Whereas I think there are certain circumstances to like come clean about it and explain your logic and try to turn like a new leaf and start fresh. But obviously, if you can, deny till you die. Like,
but even if you listen to when they were back, everyone was saying it wasn't me, because I wrote Wendell's name down with a squiggly line. And like they were like literally like pinpointing all of the ones. And that's why Heidi was like, ugh.
Yeah.
That doggone it, Franny. You didn't hear what Jack said last episode? It was Franny.
Wow.
But related to that, the reason Jam Jam goes and tells Danny about this Heidi vote is because he, Carolyn, and Carson came back together on the beach, sort of worked out their differences, and kind of all agreed they wanted to move forward together. So that fracture in Tika lasted maybe a day.
Half a day.
Back together and start working on new plans to keep the other groups divided. On the flip,
it's like they're all they got. And when I think about all three of them, at least up until this episode, I started to think like, man, they should all want to sit next to each other at the end, because I could think that each one of them would think that they could win. Or so that's who you want to go up at the end with, someone you think you can win against. So up till this point, I just feel like they have an incentive to get it back together, get on the same page, and keep picking people up as they've been doing.
For me, it's just so impressive how it is very obvious there are clear Survivor players out there. And it is very obvious that, Franny said it 2 weeks ago. Like, why are we allowing Tika to determine which way we go? And the fact that they have been so successful, for me, it's like, you got to give props where props is due. But also, after this episode, I really think about the dynamic of it a little different, and I can explain when we kind of get there. But I just think, I used to think it's one bus driver, possibly two, but it is very clear that it's a 3-bus driving bus. And I'd like to see what that feel like.
Anyways, yeah, they've been a great group since like basically the beginning of the game. And I remember like I think when they voted out Helen, that was sort of Carson deciding to side with Carolyn and Jam Jam rather than Sarah and Helen. And you know, I think we had questions about that at the time, but it seems like all things considered, that was the right decision for him.
Right.
On the flip side, though, we see Danny like coming to the and we've talked about Tika steering the middle, like Franny said, like we can't let them run the game. I feel like now that they have the plurality of the numbers, like they have 3 and the other tribes have 2 people left, this would be the time to finally pick them off. And Danny realizes that, and so he gathers Heidi, Jamie, and Lauren. You know, they all sort of come to the agreement that Tika's getting a little bit too strong and that they need to go after them. And they settle a quick target, or not a quick target, but they decide that Jam Jam is the best target to go for if he does not win immunity. So we finally have all the non-Tikas on the same page, it appears.
Do you think at that moment, did you think that if you're Danny trying to find the biggest threat amongst the Tika 3, do you think that it's Jam Jam at that particular moment?
Yeah, I think so. Because, like,
with the information that he has, he doesn't know Carolyn as an idol.
Yeah, I think Jam Jam was the best option. Because I think Jam Jam was a good target because of the combination of the fact that, like, he is pretty somewhat strategic, but also because I don't think Jam Jam has as strong of relationships with like the Raw 2 members as like a Carson does, for example. Like we see later on, like Jamie and Lauren say that they trust Carson more than Danny, and so maybe Carson's a bigger threat, but also Carson's probably doing a better job of masking it to the point where Danny might think, oh, maybe not everyone thinks he's a threat. And also people seem to trust, like him and trust him a fair amount. So it's better to say Jam Jam. And it's also just better when it's such a critical potential vote. Just pick the person that the most people can get on board with rather than like saying, oh, we really need to get like the biggest threat of that group out. You know what I mean?
I'm with you.
Yeah, I would agree because I look at it like when we say biggest threat, the way that I process it is like, do I want to sit next to them, right? And so I would imagine that a Danny in this moment, given the information that he knows about Carson, feels comfortable that given the plays that Danny has made, would be maybe like, I want to sit next to.
I will say Danny says after the immunity challenge that he said, if I cloned myself and I was sitting on the jury and I had to vote between me and Carson, I might vote for Carson.
But so then why do we feel like Jam Jam is his biggest? Is it Jam Jam's personality?
Well, I think it's, like I said, I think it's a combination of I think Danny recognizes that Jam Jam probably has weaker relationships outside of Tika, where it's easier to put the target on him. And I also think, Carson playing a better game, and Danny probably recognizes that. But I think Jam Jam's playing a more obvious game, and so it's easier to be like, oh, guys, look at like Jam Jam. Like, I think everyone out there is kind of like, okay, Jam Jam's, he's hustling. Like, he's survived a lot of votes. He's charismatic. I think Carson's game is a lot more nuanced, and so it's harder if you're going to gather. I think if I'm Danny, I'm trying to go gather numbers against Tika. Jam Jam's a much easier person to be like, okay, he's a threat, and you guys aren't super close with him. Whereas Carson, it's like, if you really break down his game, he's a threat, and you guys kind of like him, so let's target him. Like, that just seems like a harder pitch. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I agree with that, and I also think we've seen it. I think Danny tries to get rid of people that he perceives might get in the way of him winning a challenge. Yeah. I think that's what he does. I think he aimed at Brandon. He aimed at Franny. Franny was like, I just think it's
but
like,
up
all
until
right.
this point, well, okay, so because he's targeting Carson at this point, right?
No, Jam Jam.
Right, but up until this point, what challenge has Jam Jam won?
Well, I
I
agree
feel
with
like Jam Jam has proven himself as strong in challenges. could be wrong.
Okay, you're right. You are absolutely right. He hasn't won, but I just think of the first chance. Like he's never quit, and he's always. That's a good point. Okay.
also like, and I think you pointed out last week, Brice, or the week before, is like it does seem like Danny and Carson did have a pretty good working relationship the last
Right.
few episodes. So maybe Danny realizes that Carson's the biggest threat, but maybe he feels like, if they take out a Jam Jam, that Carson can still be an asset to his game. Whereas we haven't really seen much of like a Danny Jam Jam relationship. And we also haven't really seen much of like a Lauren Jam Jam relationship or a Jamie Jam Jam relationship. Like I think Jam Jam and Heidi have had some connection, but I think it's easier when you know you need to take out a Tika. Jam Jam's just the one with like the weakest relationships, but also who's kind of a target.
And
Gotcha.
if you just want to, and if you want to take an indirect shot at Carson, and you know that you can't take that shot at Carson, you just weaken the people around him.
And you want to just get rid of a Tinka, period.
A what?
Tika.
Exactly. So with that plan in motion, we head to the immunity challenge, which is they did it last year, but it's a Survivor Classic.
Okay, now
Go ahead, Brice.
now hold on, wait.
No.
Because Spicy Bricey is out, and you know I'm coming right for you, Jackery, with this one. I want to
I didn't see
know
that coming.
why. No, sorry, because just the way you said a Survivor Classic. So, what's your thoughts on this? Darn it! See, I pulled my card too soon because, mind you, I should have just said it better.
I didn't
But
say 3 words.
I know, but Spicy Bricey came out because it's just like. So, what's your thoughts on this Survivor Classic, Jack?
See, I feel like I know where you're going with this.
No, I know, and that's why I was too hot. I was up.
I like this challenge. It's a physical mental challenge. Like it's damn near kind of like torture, which is a little bit out there, but
Petrifying.
Yeah, it's like just not torture enough to make it interesting. But yeah.
So now you know where I'm coming with the smoke. I don't know. During this challenge, did you hear Carson say, "I practice in my bathtub"?
Yeah, but notice how it didn't really help him because it's something that you can't easily recreate, and also like
you can recreate this. Oh, I've done it.
Right.
I have done it.
Win, Brice. If he practiced most, why didn't he win?
There are plenty of people that practice puzzles outside of Carson that practice and don't win.
Like it's such a different thing. Like
I mean,
tell him, Brice.
If I give you a jigsaw puzzle,
if I give you a body of water, we back to the ocean. We are back to the ocean.
Is literally like one of the most ever changing things. Like it's not like a set.
If I give you a tub of water and I say, Jack, lay
that's
in
like
it.
Saying like, oh, did you practice running before you went on Survivor?
Did you practice the puzzles? I feel like it's the same thing.
I thought we had an agreement.
I mean, we did, but it was just the way that you said a Survivor Classic that triggered me, Jack.
Like, well, I'm saying that about a puzzle too. Like, if it's a puzzle that they do all the time, it's a classic Survivor puzzle.
But yeah, my just thing is that people are then able to prep for it. And because you could literally go out into the ocean and lay in the ocean and breathe in the water until it comes up.
Literally can't, because you don't have like you don't like have your own.
He 3D printed one.
You could 3D print one. Hold on.
Jack, he's gonna get you, man.
He's so obviously not.
He's gonna get you. He's coming back with a grate from his oven.
He's gonna dump water on it.
No, because what I'm saying
Brice, where's the water?
Hold on, wait, because I can't hear you. So go ahead.
Where's the water?
Oh, first of all, Wendell, when you lived in where you lived at, I practiced this challenge in your house. And I did this exact same thing that I'm about to show y'all.
But right, there's also a difference between memorizing a set, unchanging thing versus practicing something that is like not a set activity, right?
Tell me why. Tell me why. Go ahead, because I'll do the podcast like this for the rest of the episode.
Let's
Go on.
They lasted over an hour.
You gotta pour a little water on your face
Where's the water? Pour it. Pour it.
That's don't pour that.
Go get you some water.
No, because I don't want to ruin the shirt. But go on. Because you could put this in the bathtub, Jack, and you can have the bathtub. And Wendy's bathtub, oh, I miss it, was amazing. It was wide and long. No, but not in that. Was your bathtub not amazing? Like you could space out and you.
You didn't do it in the pool?
I did not. But I'm just saying, all that I'm saying, Jack, is that this is something that you can practice for.
So Brice,
practice for anything, but practicing a set puzzle it's going to be the exact same thing is different than preparing for like being in the ocean, which has different swells and tides. Like, and like, I think this proves my point. The fact that Carson said he practiced and then he did terrible. So
there are plenty of people that practice puzzles and do terrible. Have you like? I mean,
who else in this season was 3D printing the puzzles?
I mean, listen, Jack, I'm not going to go into semantics with you about it. Okay. I'm just saying this just proves my point that this is something that you can practice and this is a Survivor Classic and you loved it.
But the most boring thing to practice, to watch someone practice.
Okay. So Jack, okay.
So practice fire making. But
Jack, you're coming to Brooklyn, right?
Yeah.
I'm bringing this with me. Bring some swimming trunks.
Where are we going to swim? The Hudson River?
No, we're going to fill up a bathtub. Bring some swimming trunks.
He wants the Hudson.
We go to the Hudson.
No, I don't want the Hudson. I think we die if we try to do this.
Oh.
Well, the Hudson.
You scared of a little death?
I haven't practiced. The Hudson is so dirty. You don't swim in the Hudson.
This is true.
Jack, bring some swimming trunks to Brooklyn.
We'll see.
No, I ain't no we'll see.
But that's like...
Bring some swimming trunks. You know what, Jack? Because you know what? I'm packing these, Jack. I don't even have time for you, okay? Be ready.
That's so unrelated to my...
ready.
That's very unrelated to my...
No, Jack, because we're going to do a twist on it. I'm going to tie that rack to your face. I'm going to put the shower on cold water, and I'm going to bring my 3D puzzle.
But if the bag is tied to my face, couldn't I just move my face out of the water?
Jack,
in the shower.
You'll have to figure it out, okay?
Nice. Actually, that's kind of smooth.
It will be a part of next week's, or that it will be a part of the final episode.
Okay, Jackery. Good luck, brother.
But all right, go on, because sorry, Jack triggered me with just the way he said classic Survivor. I was like, oh, so you enjoy a classic Survivor that has been run over and over.
Like, but just because it's a classic doesn't even necessarily mean it's good. Like, there could be a classic Survivor puzzle. That doesn't mean I like it. It's just a classic. Like, anyway, this is a weird argument. Like, Jack Shack, go stand up to that.
Don't galvanize the Jack Shack.
I'm galvanizing them. The Jack Shack attack. But in this challenge, Lauren drops out quite quickly, followed by Jamie, Carson, which I guess is crazy because he practiced it so much.
I guess he didn't 3D print the water.
Yeah, and then how did he not 3D print the entire ocean?
Like lazy Carson.
Yeah. And then Carolyn all drop off pretty fast, which leaves Danny, Jam Jam, and Heidi. I hate to say it, but as I was watching the episode with friends, I said, well, Danny does breath work, so my money's on him. And as I said that, he popped out. And I was like, I guess not. So Danny dropped out. I mean, Danny's been practicing this all his life in a way, Brice, and he still didn't win. So
he didn't 3D print it.
Then we get a jam. If only Danny's breath work combined with Carson's 3D printing, they would have won. So then it's a Jam Jam versus Heidi showdown. And Jam Jam ends up outlasting Heidi, and they actually have to jump in and grab him because he can't hear that the challenge is over. So.
And it's just amazing to see Jam Jam win a challenge. Not amazing, but for him to win an immunity challenge, and we're at final 7 right now. And again, while we were at Brice and Wen present Philadelphia, everyone was screaming, going crazy, and I was just like, I didn't really understand what happened. But when I went back to watch the episode and to see Jam Jam win, for me, y'all know me, I'm spicy Bricey, or either I'm emotional Jerry. I got emotional, which is why I put on my Jam Jam shirt, because I got to thinking, when have we ever after the merge have ever had an openly gay person of color, male, win an immunity challenge?
I will say Ricard won a bunch.
Okay, yes, Ricard. But they're like, and adding Jam Jam to that. Jam Jam is a bigger person. We there are a lot of things that like people just underestimate with Jam Jam. And so to have people like Ricard and Jam Jam in this new era of Survivor, it excites me. It makes me proud. And it's just like, I love to see it. And there are just so many kids in Puerto Rico. There are so many queer, gay kids of color looking at this. There are so many bigger people, we all don't come in one shape or size, that are looking at a Jam Jam being like, you better do it. And it just it brings me excitement and joy. And I just say to anybody at home, even if you don't have a 3D printer, you better practice this challenge, because Survivor's going to do it. So kudos and shout out to the baby boy that is Jam Jam. Do you want to jam, or do you want to jam? And we are jamming this episode.
Yeah.
Brice, how do you think you would do at that challenge?
Oh, first of all, there is no need to practice for me. I would kill it. I was born for challenges like that. Like, those are the type of challenges that I live for.
Say no more.
I don't do breath work, but just no.
Okay, I'm gonna build something, and next time we go to the shore,
say less.
Less has been said.
Listen, I've been wanting to hold my breath. Can you keep up? Baby boy, make you lose your breath. Baby boy, make you lose my breath. I will kill it. You gotta breathe.
1 into the 2, 2 into the 3, 3 to the 4. Then you gotta
breathe. Okay,
Jack.
Yeah, I agree.
How would you do with this challenge, Jack?
I think I do all right, but
we'll find out in Brooklyn.
Their mouth starts filling up with water, like everyone has a plan until they start drowning. Like, I think I'd do okay with
drown me.
I think I'd do okay with the tube and stuff.
Oh, me too.
You gotta go.
Whoa, Jack, put your hands down. Put your hands down.
No, Jack, wait. How would you wait? What if you had the tube? What would it look like?
I'm not doing it now. Not doing it now.
Because I would be.
All I will say, and I'm not doing any of these motions.
You would, Wendell, you would suck at this.
I'm going on spring break again.
No, you wouldn't do good at this. You would squirm up, and I see. We did breathing. We did an ice bath before, Jack, and everybody was like, "Oh, Brice, it's not fun and games, Brice. You can't be fun." Jack, I got in that water and I said, "Okay." They was like, "Oh my God, you almost 3 minutes. 5 minutes is hypothermia. We gotta get you out of there." I said, "Okay." Jack, Wendell got in there. Wendell was like, "It's time to go. It's time to go."
No, I didn't.
It's time to go. You can look on our Instagram page and see it.
No, I didn't. That's a lie.
He said it's time to go.
Where? And that's because of the temperature.
And you think the Hudson or the ocean is more
Well, if you don't know about these Fijian waters,
Probably warmer than a ice bath.
Oh.
I know that
Now we can prepare with the temperature.
Yeah. Did Carson practice the temperature?
That was his problem. He didn't practice with that warmer water. Now we know the temperature, Jack.
wow, he practiced in Atlanta.
He practiced in Atlanta.
Damn.
He practiced in the Chattahoochee River.
What you call me? Ain't nothing but a chatty hoochie. Ain't nothing but a chatty hoochie. Ain't nothing but a chatty hoochie.
Relax your Chattahoochee down.
Sorry.
Brice, where were we?
Hold on, wait, Jack, stand up.
I'm gonna be out of frame, but
Jump. Oh, I was see if you had some chatty hoochie shorts on.
no, I got sweats on. Chattahoochee shorts.
Chattahoochee daddy shorts. All right, Jack, where were can I say something about this challenge?
Yeah.
A couple things. Lauren, when Jeff asked her a question. I'm sorry, Jeff. I can't even focus on your question right now.
Get somebody else to do it, Jack. I mean, Jeff, leave me be.
I like when I watch Lauren, it looks like she's locked in. Like when I see even at Tribal, it seemed like she kind of misspoke, but like she's got her serious face on. It's her game face. I can relate to that. And I saw a tweet from her saying something about like hanging in the middle, and when certain people do it, it's considered great gameplay. But when other people do it, you're like a floater or whatever.
Say that again, Wendy, because I don't think people understand what you're saying. Say it again.
I don't want to mess up the tweet. Because
what's that rap, Jack? When they but when I do, it's a problem. What's that?
Like they hate when I do it.
Yeah, but
or they love when they do it. It's a problem when I
do it. Right. That's okay. That's what Lauren was saying with her chest. Okay, Lauren, I feel it.
Yeah. I can't find it, but essentially that's what it was. It's like when certain people float or play the middle or whatever you want to call it, it's brilliant gameplay. But she said, I guess she's been getting criticism for floating or playing her game, which has gotten her this far in the game.
And this is what I say to Lauren to say to those people: tell them to holler at you when they at Final 7. If you're not at Chattahoochee River at Final 7, keep it pushing.
Where were you?
I was keeping it pushing.
Now, my other thing that I wanted to say was when Jam won, everybody celebrated for him. And I'm like, wow. To me, that shows something. It's like they had, it looked like his emotions were in them. So to me, it said, if Jam is sitting at the end, that's a scary player to sit next to.
And is that the reason? And this is what I was coming to. Maybe Danny was targeting him maybe the reason that Danny was targeting him was for a bigger reason. And even think about this. When at the end, normally when Danny loses the challenge, spicy Danny come out. But
I don't know what you're talking about.
Because somebody got you right together. Okay, because listen,
I am together.
Okay, somebody got you right together, Brutus.
Okay.
But after Jam won and Danny jumped in the water and it was like, bloop.
He didn't make a big splash. Is that what you're saying?
He did a backflip. And then he jumped into the water and got Jam. Like, you're right. That normally Danny be a little spicy, but he jumped in a pew. And
jumped in a view.
And you're right. So
yeah.
Jam.
It is a good sport. It's just like pretty much every other thing he's lost, he got second. So when he lost, it was like he didn't have any time to process it.
I would think that this would be something even more emotional and not even trying to be funny, but like being as though he does do breath work. And this is something that he I would imagine that maybe he would even be more mad, but instead he again just went. and showed love right to Jam Jam.
Yeah.
Why are you laughing, Wendell?
Just well, first of all, how you're explaining him jumping in the water. I saw a much bigger splash
I
that
just
went
saw
all the way
pew.
on to Jam Jam. But just because you do breath work, that doesn't mean you're ready to be water tortured and think that you should be good at that.
They could torture me with whatever they like. Okay, I watch SNL.
SNL.
I watched it last Saturday.
What happened?
It was a play on words. Jack got it. Or
No, he
maybe I
didn't.
wasn't not, because I guess it would be like BDSM, so SNL doesn't even make sense.
S&M?
Oh.
I don't know what that is. We're back at camp now, and Danny is planning to vote out Carson.
Yeah.
He tells Carson and Carolyn to split them on Lauren and
Jamie.
But I'm sorry, Brice.
What?
Oh no! Did you want to say something about that
Oh
line?
no, I was just trying to bring up a photo of everybody.
Okay, Jack, my bad.
Yeah, but Carolyn's instincts are telling her that Danny's feeding her some BS.
Mm-hmm.
And so Tika comes together and sort of tries to get on the same page. Carson scrambles to try to get Jamie and Lauren to vote with them in a split against Soka. But Carolyn ends up telling Carson about her idol, but that she's nervous about playing it for him because she's worried that, there could be a counter idol played that could result in maybe a no vote situation or a situation where she catches a vote or two and somehow she would go home. Before we get into all that, I mean, there's a lot to break down here. I thought it was, Carolyn was sort of at the center of all this pre-tribal activity. I thought it was really brilliant. Well, A, I was super impressed with how long she was able to keep the idol to herself. B, I thought it was so smart because Carson knew he might be in trouble. When Carolyn told him that she had the idol, he said like, "Oh, I'm so proud of you." I think that was such a small thing where you're showing genuine support rather than being like, "Oh, you play it for me," not that wouldn't work, but I just think that is a testament to their bond, and also just is another example of where Carson, I think, does things that are like very genuine and sweet, but I think he also realizes like the way that he's utilizing that
right
genuineness in order to benefit his game. It's like a win-win for him. There's so basically the debate is that we're being teased that Carolyn wants to play the idol for Carson, but she's not sure if she can. And I love the thing that jumped to my mind was maybe they would do like a minority split vote, which we've seen a couple times. We saw that one time in David versus Goliath, which basically is like, if you're in the minority anyways, but you're gonna play an idol, and you're worried there could be a counter idol, then you split your few votes amongst two people so that if they all vote for one of your people, they're protected, and then there's multiple targets on the other side, so that if they play an idol to counter your idol, then it's not like a deadlock, and then they have the numbers on the revote. What you guys think about all these pre-tribal antics, and like, there's a lot to unpack. So like, what stood out to you guys?
For me, what stood out is that there are a lot of people that like Carolyn, right? And but they don't necessarily think that she's not a player. I think that this right here showed me a whole different side of Carolyn, where it's like people just kind of sort of, when you're different, they don't treat you the same. And it's a struggle that I always have. I'm very open with, like, Wendeezy about it, where I'll say something to somebody and they won't receive it from me. And it's like, in order for me to be able to have it heard, I'll go to Wendeezy to have Wendeezy say it. And then all of a sudden, miraculously, they are, "Oh, I've never heard that before." And I think this is very true of Carolyn, where it's like, I'm different, I'm quirky, but ain't nothing wrong with up here. I understand the game. I know what's going on. And I think because without this move right here, Carson would be in the Chattahoochee River, gone.
Oh,
And it's like her
It wouldn't be Carson, but
I thought they were not.
Danny still received 3 votes. Carson 2, Heidi 2.
Got you. But
yeah.
potentially, like, this,
Yeah.
it goes to show you her instinct. And I don't want to jump too far ahead because I really want to get to the comment that Lauren made, because but I just feel like this for me just showed her pulse on the game, and she ain't missing. She might be the way that she gets to the base might be a little different, but she not missing. Her pulse is definitely right, and she's caring. She's a mother. I really feel like her and Carson have this mother-son relationship, and she really appreciates Carson. So for me, this just showed me that Carolyn has the chops and the resume to potentially be a winner.
Yeah, I tweeted her as my winner pick long ago, FYI. But what it shows to me, I mean, for Carolyn, she knows the game. She knows how to play. She knew not to share about the idol, and she is this quirky character. Some people have said like Debbie. Some people have said like Nora. Quirky in that, she goes about things differently. But I think that's so disarming, so that if you are a good player and you have it in you to hold things back, and you happen to be this quirky player where you can kind of hide behind this quirky smoke and mirror mask while you're really actually playing the game, it can have people like a Danny walking around saying that, oh, the threats are Carson and Jam. It's not, like, it can have these people while he's running around looking at other threats. You get him out of here with your idol, So, yeah, I got mad respect for Carolyn.
In the same way that, Jack, we talk about Carson being so disarming with, like, he plays up his innocence. It's a very similar thing with a Carolyn, in the sense of like, she's disarming, but but people they counter out. And I'm like, you better recount, you better think again.
Yeah. What's that Geno Smith quote? Wendell, you know what I'm talking about? Where they like, at the start of the season, he came back, he had that big game, and there was like, oh, they wrote me off, but I didn't write back.
Love it.
Applies to the Carolyn situation. But yeah, I actually want to bring up something I saw from Adam Klein's appearance on Rob's podcast, where he talks about in this new era, there's always such like a target placed upon the people that are painted as strategists because they're driving the vote. And he said, which I think applies really well to Carolyn, he might have been talking about Carolyn, but he said, like, maybe the new strategy is you can lead with your emotions, because when you're targeting someone for emotional reasons, no one's going to paint you as like, oh, you're the strategic mastermind. But if you're playing up your emotions as a reason to target someone, and you could still get them to go home, you could go back you could go at final tribal council and say, I was playing up my emotions in order to paint targets on people without being perceived as a big strategist, but I was doing that like consciously.
That was the strategy.
And exactly. And so I think, and that, like, we've seen in this new era, like, it really is like the people that are driving the votes, like, strategically, it always ends up catching up to them. So maybe being painted as an emotional player rather than a strategic player, but also being strategic like Carolyn is the way to go.
Well, in that analysis, how did it work out for Deshaun?
I mean,
because I feel like Deshaun was strategic, and he also was very emotional at times.
It's fair. I mean, I thought, it depends on the jury for sure. But I will say, I actually thought Deshaun played a very underrated game. So I can't really answer this question well. But what I will say is that a lot of the times his emotion, he would go into votes pretty strategic. And then when they wouldn't go his way, he would be emotional. And then he'd bring it back together. Like, very rarely did I feel like Deshaun was like, oh, like, I have an issue with this person, let's vote them out. It was more so he'd come up with a solid plan, try to execute it, and then when he got blindsided or whatever, he'd be like, why did you guys do that? And and that's a different sort of emotion. But at the same time, I still think Deshaun was a pretty underrated player
No, for
who
sure.
a couple things go different, or even like if the jury is different, more of a fan of his, like I think he could have won. So yeah, I saw a clip of Adam talking about that, and I thought it was a very like a good argument.
There's a point when Carolyn just gets a feeling that there's heat coming for Carson.
Yeah.
That feeling, baby.
She even goes, we didn't mention this, she even goes like, I don't know if uncover is the right word, but she goes to Danny and she's like, maybe at some point we got to get Carson out of here just to like feel him out.
Yeah. Danny
was like, I don't think it's the time. And she just like smelled the BS. Like,
yeah.
Well,
how did she sniff this out? Do you think there was a mole that we didn't see?
There haven't been enough I haven't been to a lot of tribal councils. However, the temperature that changes, and you can speak to this, Wendell. When the temperature changes, the temperature changes.
Yeah.
Okay. It don't have to be the Chattahoochee River. It don't have to be the Hudson River. It don't have to be the ocean. When the temperature changes and you are an intuitive person, it is, and I'm an emotional player, you know it. And I just really feel that, like, Carolyn is she's an emotional player. She's intuitive. And especially after especially after Franny going home, I think that her antennas were high. But it is very plausible that Heidi or a Lauren could have tipped her, or all girl a lot. Like, I don't know, but I just really feel
in that case, I don't know that she would play the idol. But what I will say is that, like, I don't think it was the most complicated thing to like figure out, but it certainly took good game intuition for her to like be able to read it. If that makes, like, when we look at Danny, he actually talks about it. Danny says it a lot this episode. I think that kind of epitomizes his strategy. And I also think it's just good Survivor strategy overall, in the sense that he says, like if you have the same goals as me, that's where you earn my trust. And if you have a desire in this game that's different from mine, then that means we're not going to work together. So, and I think that's the smartest way to look at it, is like, not about your history with a person, but it's like, do their current values align with what I want to do? And if they do, then we can work together. Or how do I change their values to fit what I want to do? And so if I'm Carolyn or Carson or Jam Jam, and I'm hearing Danny say like he wants to go after like Lauren or Jamie, I'm going to be like, our Tika 3 has been like running the whole post merge. We're finally like the majority, like we're the plurality. We're almost the majority. It's like, why would Danny want to take out a Ratu and like give us all the numbers? I'm sure like everyone in Tika was aware of the fact that if they get through one more tribal, then they have, half of the numbers, which is damn near a majority if you stick together.
And Jam was immune, so it's like, who are they gonna shoot at?
Right. Yeah, so it's like, why? And they know Danny's smart, so they're like, why would Danny want to put us in that powerful position? Like, they must be after us. But it's to Brice's point where Franny literally just went home. Now Carolyn kind of knows what it looks like when people lie to her versus when they tell her the truth, and so that probably helps her make this decision as well. But yeah, we get to try, and things end up, we'll get to talk about this as the vote unfolds, but things end up a little bit different than we expect, but I think there's still a lot to unpack with it. But we get to tribal council, which got pretty interesting. A lot of the tribal council like discussion parts, I've kind of been like, they've kind of been kind of boring. I'll be honest. I feel like they're hitting the same notes of like, so what do you do in this game when like the trust shifts so much? I don't know. But this tribal, we see Carolyn get a little spicy as well. First, it starts with I think Carolyn's kind of talking about, she hasn't slept, but like some days they have like chill days, and then some days they go like full scramble mode.
Yep.
Dave agrees with her, which you could tell she gets a little bit frustrated about. And then Lauren chimes in. I thought this was really weird. She talked, and I think she accepts that she misphrased it after, but Carolyn gets fired up when Lauren says, like, some of us are like approaching the votes like emotionally, and then some of them are going about it with like experience, which I was like, okay. I mean, Carolyn's been to more tribals than anyone else other than like Jam Jam. So that whole argument of like experience versus emotion made no sense to me. But Carolyn like snapped at Lauren about that, and I think Lauren was like, okay, like maybe I misphrased it. But I really didn't understand where she was coming with that.
Well, I thought that
She used the word strategic also.
Strategic versus
She said
emotional.
she said some are more experienced and strategic. Some
Yeah.
rely on emotions. So take out experience, which maybe she misspoke regarding that, and it's like strategic versus emotional.
Well, yeah, she's basically. I mean, yeah, she's essentially saying that she and Danny or whatever are like going about it strategically, and Carolyn's getting emotional, which, in a very black and white way, maybe, but it's like there's obviously so much more. And of course, there's like the dramatic irony of the fact that we know Carolyn's probably about to make a great move and like outthink everybody, but of course,
you gotta accept that going on Survivor. Some people are gonna play with their emotions. Some people are gonna play game body and not, like. Yes, people are going to play with their emotions, so now we got to act accordingly and know how to deal with certain players, if you ask me.
And then to say on top of that, Jeff makes a comment, and then Carolyn's like ready to fight Jeff, which I actually thought Jeff's comment was a little bit uncalled for. So it was I thought it was pretty hilarious that Carolyn called him out. Because he was like, well, maybe if you had a little more sleep, like you would think about this differently.
He tried to subtweet her, and she caught it. Okay, she said, "Next time, Jeff at me."
Yeah. Well,
okay.
Jeff, you're not starving out here. Like, you can't.
Okay. Chill, bro.
Yeah.
Wait, what are the famous words of somebody that's about to go home, or what do they say if you get to what in Survivor, you'll go home?
Get too cocky, too confident.
Too comfortable, baby. Now, mind you, y'all know I love me a short king.
You about to say something about Danny? Oh,
you know I love me my short. I love a short king.
He's not even short. Danny, you are tall.
And might.
You're tall.
And might. But I like because I love this whole cast, and I love to hate, love to root, love to like. He's just an interesting person, and for me, it's like when Jeff asks them about like going to tribal, and Danny goes into this boxing scenario, and Danny's like, you ever see the first time. First of all, I love me some boxing, and shout out to Tank. Okay, you know me, I love some Tank. If you okay, and also shout out to Danny Garcia. Anyway, I love me some boxers, and he makes this reference to when you're a first time boxer, you throwing all these hits and blah blah blah. But when you're a more experienced boxer, I'm like. And he's like, they move easy. Like, there is a difference between an experienced boxer and a beginner boxer. But Danny, it don't matter if you got 100 fights or you got 2 fights, you still can get knocked the bop. And then when Danny was like, I'm coming in like an experienced fighter, and I'm like, oh my God, this is literally like somebody saying, I'm so comfortable.
Although he did say at the end of that, I think, right? He was like, you come in like experienced, but you still hope, you don't get knocked out.
But the essence of it was that he was coming in
a little more confident.
And I was like, oh my, and at this point, I still did not believe that the fate would be the fate, because I'm like, oh my God, he's like a cat. He got 9 lives, like he gonna survive this. But when it went to that reference, I was like, oh my God, this is literally saying how comfortable you are. I was like, no, Danny.
I think at that point, Brice, I think I was standing next to DJ Caution. I was like, yo, he's going home tonight. They love putting that language in there if someone is going home. Yeah.
Yeah. I did think it was a great analogy, though.
No, I thought it was great. I love boxing.
But
and if I were ever to box, if me and Danny were ever to box, it would be like, be like,
Danny, beat him up when you next time you see him.
I love it.
He'll beat you up. We also got a moment, an emotional moment about Carson, and I'm like, don't let it fall on Carson tonight, because so if this is your Jeff's like, if this is your last night or whatever, if you're going home, what do you think, or whatever he said, and Carson said something like, heartfelt, and I'm just like, man,
I almost thought that was Jeff like throwing him an alley oop to slam down some emotion and get Carolyn like
ah,
I feel like Carolyn's like, oh my god, like I need to save him. I love this kid.
wow,
Did you guys peep that one as the jury is growing, right? Now it's more people. Did y'all peep how Jam Jam walked into Tribal with that necklace on? Jam Jam was like, I want these MFers on the jury to see what time it is. Jam Jam walked into Tribal like,
yeah.
you see me, Brandon?
Yeah. Like, hey,
See me,
player.
Shane?
Okay.
I see them shorts, Brandon. They ain't rolled up today. Like the way Jam Jam, it's just Jam Jam's his analogies. When he got the crate on her, he like, I'm just figuring out the crate. I'm just, playing with it, hoping that, I just love the Jam Jamness.
Getting
But
comfortable with the metal and hoping that it loves me,
right.
Yeah.
But he definitely had extra pep in his step, and he definitely wanted the people in the jury to see that he won immunity. And then it got me to thinking, when they asked, do you think about the members of the jury? And he's like, every day. And I think that, again, him just walking in like that probably was like, just Jam Jam being like, I did it. But also him walking in like that, showing the jury, like, I'm out here getting these immunity chains. Y'all, my back was to the wall. And now I'm out. Like, I don't know. Just for me, it was just like, was he trying to I feel like he was playing, just being like happy I got it, but also like, y'all see this, right?
Yeah.
Y'all see this,
Yeah.
right? It just was interesting to me, especially how he answered it in the way of I always think about jury. Do I have this vote? Do I have this vote? Maybe some of these people in the jury don't think that I played a strong enough competitive game. So let me just make sure they see what's around my neck.
Yep. So we finally get to voting.
Danny walks in.
Spent a super long time at the voting booth, which had me kind of confused, but I feel like maybe she just wanted a moment to gather her thoughts and figure out the best course of action. I honestly thought, because I've heard people theorize that chessboard in the voting booth could be some sort of clue or advantage or something like that. So I thought maybe she was trying to figure it out. Which
on my rewatch, Jack, I saw her doing a lot of counting of fingers and moving fingers.
Yeah.
From my perspective, I think she was making sure numbers were going particular ways so that her numbers will be good, or that if she loses a number, they still might be good.
Do you think that's why they have the chess thing? You could actually physically move the chess.
I don't know if you can. I don't know if they might be glued down or something. But to what you were saying, Jack, I think something's gonna happen in this at some point.
Yeah. So yeah, she takes her time, but then so we get to the time to read the votes. I think this might have been an editing trick. I think, but Jeff, they ask if anyone wants to play anything. Jeff then goes okay, we're about, and then it happens. But I low-key think it might have been a little I think that was just to build suspense. Not sure. So? Because usually once you say okay, it's it's kind of time. But
he'll let you slide it in.
True. Carolyn plays.
Oh my god.
Self whistle. Pause.
Carolyn plays the idol for Carson. But Danny ends up going 3-2 with Carson's 2 votes negated and the other 2 votes on Heidi. Meaning that Lauren and Jamie, I believe, voted for Heidi, or some sort of split. So technically the idol was wasted, but I think there's a lot to unpack here. And I think my 2 things, to quickly put my thought on it and then pass it to you guys. I think it's really absurd that Jamie and Lauren didn't vote for Carson. I think that's a terrible move. Like, no matter how things shook out, it makes no sense to like let Tika gain control after this vote. And so with that being said, I think it's extremely smart that Carolyn played her idol, because if I'm Carolyn and I have this intuition, I'm going to be like, why would Jamie and Lauren actually vote with us? Like, so for her to play her idol, make sure that she gets her 3 people to the final 6 and get that half the numbers. Even if the idol's like wasted, I still think just making sure you get your group to like the majority numbers or like half of the numbers or whatever is so worth that security. Like, even if you think like Carson goes home 20% of the time here, I think it's worth playing your idol. So technically she wasted it, but I still think it was honestly like a way better move than like a Danny playing his idol for Franny. Sometimes like the idea behind the move is better than like actually executing the move. What do you think about all that?
Yeah, Hatch called me earlier and asked me about it, and I said essentially the same thing. If you know that votes are going your way and you're kind of uncertain where idols may lay, and you guys have a chance at becoming 3 out of 6, you have to do, like you said, you do everything to ensure that. And that's by, okay, homeboy got the immunity necklace. Okay, they ain't looking at me because they think I'm a little kooky. They're going to gun for my man. I'm going to protect him. We know votes are going there, so that if anyone plays another idol or whatever, he's protected. So yeah, I think it was a good move. And it took out, was Danny the most powerful player or the strong? What can we say Danny was?
He was the most visible player.
It took out a very big player. And now
that the Band-Aid is off, now it is really, in my opinion, like the game, and like it's like the rebirth of the game.
100%.
Because now that Danny, like, and this also just always has me thinking about Survivor, where it's like, I'm thinking in my head, if I'm out there, do I really want, I mean, we need to get rid of Danny, but do I really want to get rid of Danny right now? Because it's like, if I get rid of Danny, he is such a
target,
such a like
shield,
tall person in might, although not in, you know,
you and
height,
these height
but
jokes. He's going all right.
But there is a presence. You said who?
I was just gonna say, Danny might be one of the taller people still there.
I mean, 4'3" is tall. but no, but just saying, like, his might, his personality makes up for.
Yeah.
And so now that if he were to be gone, now it's like the cannibalism is about to, like, they open in the can. It is. If you watch The Last of Us, it's the you know, it's coming. And so that's the only thing that scares me, because now it's like, ooh.
And Danny had a lot of screen real estate too. We might see, like, now we might see more Lauren, we might see more Jamie, we might see more Heidi. Now we get to see what we're gonna watch these players play now.
Right.
I mean, yeah, because Heidi, Jamie, and Lauren are assuming they're gonna have to try to push back against Tika, and someone's got to lead the charge on that. So we're gonna see someone potentially foil the Tika play.
And see, this is the thing, which of the Carolyn move that I love, right? Love it for her, but now it's like, oh, so you wasn't just playing an emotional game. Like, you know, now the targets are going to be like, oh, and so it's like, if you listening, Carolyn, get that immunity next week. Get that immunity next week. I hope that you had a 3D printer at home. I hope that you went to the Chattanooga River. Like, get that immunity next week, Carolyn, because at all costs, we got to protect our Queen Carolyn, because they're going to be looking at her. And this might be the point that, I mean, I would hope that Tika
There you go.
Tika, stay strong. But I mean, final 6, it
Yeah.
get freaky.
I got a question. I'm sorry, Jack. You got something to add?
Well, I just wanted to say real quick. I also want to give props to Heidi. She's held on to her idol
Ah,
That
like
was my next question.
3 weeks in a row.
ah,
Been the second most vote getter the last 3 weeks, and she held the idol the entire time. That could be the game changer for her going forward.
Oh, Brice is doing the little Kim dance.
I know you're not giving props to my girl Heidi now, Jack. I know you're not
give
giving
credit-
props to my girl Heidi.
Look, I think Heidi's had a lot of ups and a lot of downs, and I think she's one of the better players there. So I'm gonna the mistakes that she's made. I'm gonna call out those mistakes. But when she holds the idol in situations like this, where I mean, I don't know that she like knew the risk she was at most of the time, but she's gonna be able to use this idol hopefully very effectively going forward.
When they when I do it, it's a problem. I don't even know the words, but okay. But listen, we stand Heidi. Okay, I'm just replaying last
Yeah.
week. Okay,
So-
okay.
Because last
got-
week messed up.
Well, you got this Tika 3 who just gained a lot of power and confidence. How many people know about Heidi's idol?
No
one.
buddy.
But here's my thinking with that.
Now it's a lot of pressure on
If
it.
I'm the Tika 3 and I really do want to stay together, right? You technically they have to try to recruit someone from the other side to like flip on so and so. But if you have concerns about an idol, I think this could be a great situation to try to orchestrate like a 3-2-1 vote. Now it's a little harder because of the dynamic of like Heidi versus like Jamie and Lauren. But I think this is the type of situation where to avoid an idol, you maybe go to Heidi, say like, hey, if you don't want to have a tie, vote with us against Lauren. But if you're worried that, Heidi might have an idol to save someone, or if any of them have an idol, then Heidi could just go be like, hey, they're voting for Lauren, play the idol on her. Then the Tika 3 can then put their votes on like a Heidi. And I think this is like a perfect instance for like a 3-2-1. I hope that they go for that. But I also wouldn't be surprised next week if they might tie and go to Rocks. I think that's also a possibility.
What do you guys think of the possibility of an actual Tika 3 sitting final 3?
I think it's very possible.
I think Heidi is too smart to allow that to happen with her idol. I think not on Heidi's watch.
You got to slam your hand down to say it.
Not on Heidi's watch.
Jack,
I will the idol too. If it does go to a situation next week where they might go to Rocks, Heidi would be smart to just play her idol regardless, to not have to draw a rock and put the odds in her side's favor.
Jack, because I gotta ask you, was it smart of no one to play the shot in the dark?
Yeah. The numbers were so tight that it's like there would be no like the with that close of a vote 3-2 it's crucial that everyone uses, because everyone who's not in Tika, you need your votes to get the majority. And then if you are in Tika, I mean, maybe Carson could play it, but I'm sure Carolyn probably gave him reassurance that she would play his idol for him. That's honestly his best hope. And if you play your shot in the dark and she sees that, maybe she jumps to the conclusion that like, oh, you don't trust me. And that might be the thing that switches her from playing the idol to you to not playing it.
Wendell, is Carolyn saving Carson with that idol the best thing, but does that actually fuel Carson now to want to get rid of Carolyn?
Yeah, so one argument that Carolyn can have at the end of the game if she's sitting next to Carson is she saved him or whatever, even though numbers-wise Danny would have still went home. Huh?
Like, I'm agreeing with you. Technically, she didn't. If I'm Carson, I would say, like, it's my social game that she played it for me, but also my social game that I went to Lauren and Jamie and convinced them.
Not you using emotion and strategic right there, Jack. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, social game. Yeah.
But that's still emotion.
Yeah, for sure. But I still think this is like a big check mark on Carolyn's resume. Like, because I think it was the right move. Because if I was anyone else in the game, if I was the jury, I would have thought, that Jamie and Lauren would vote for Carson. But at the same time, Carson has to like put his foot down and say like, I think there's a lot of ways Carson could take credit away from Carolyn for this. So if I was Carson, I wouldn't be too concerned.
Okay. Final thought. R.I.P. Jerry. Updated winner picks.
Who's Jerry?
Jerry Springer.
Springer.
Oh,
I had a
Mine's-
couple more questions.
Okay.
We can do the winner picks and then that though.
who wants to pick?
You want to provide? Oh, you said, oh, no, let's do the winner pick. Okay, well, my winner picks still the same. Jam or Carolyn.
Weren't you talking about Heidi also?
I mean, I love Heidi, but I mean, I'm just saying.
Yeah, I still got Carolyn.
Jack. And
I
if you
think I got Carolyn or Carson.
so not Heidi.
No, but I think she's a dark horse contender.
Oh, okay.
But
Right.
well, I think the issue is any Tika that gets to the end probably wins against the others. And so, especially with fire making, it would be very difficult to get all the Tikas out. But if Heidi goes to the end with like Jamie and Lauren, I think Heidi would probably win. But yeah, I think it will be a Tika. I mean, yeah, Heidi's definitely a dark horse. I don't really think Lauren or Jamie are gonna win. I do want to give credit to what we said earlier about Lauren, where like I don't actually think Lauren's playing too bad of a game, but obviously she just hasn't done anything super consequential. And
do you feel like there's enough time still left in the game for her to change your mind?
no, because I mean, not to get too into the editing, but we've like seen like none of Lauren. Like I've watched with friends. We were like weeks in, and they were like, who is that?" And so,
and by this point, how much have we seen of Erica?
Well, now we saw Erica starting to come into her own a little bit.
So I'm just saying, could this be a dark horse come and Lauren get up on it and ride it out?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I've obviously been wrong before, but I think a lot of times I've been wrong is like with Gabler, for example. We did see a lot of Gabler, but his story just didn't make sense to me. At this point, we've seen like nothing from Lauren. So, like,
yeah.
I mean, I feel like we have seen her. I feel like
what's
not,
one noteworthy thing from Lauren that, and I'm not even trying to knock her because I think she's actually playing a solid game. Like I think she is in a position where she potentially, like, if I was in the game and not watching it on TV, I might be thinking Lauren has a shot, and like you want to give yourself a shot. But obviously, just based on the editing now, like it just probably I don't think it's gonna work out. I think she probably goes home next week. But yeah, it's I don't know. What were you saying? Like I was just saying, like, what has she done that's like stood out at all? Like she doesn't have a move. She hasn't done anything like particularly interesting, even like at camp. Like
I think in the James Jones method is that you get to the end. And I think her just even being here hasn't been an easy road for her. I think but that's all. I mean, that's you.
Yeah,
me,
I'm not saying it. That's why I'm trying to give her a little credit because we haven't seen much of her. I think she's playing like. I think most of her strategic thinking has probably been pretty solid. Like she's navigating well, but she just hasn't done anything that like stands out. And
I mean, but another thing is that
look,
if she had done something to stand out, she'd be like Brandon on the jewelry.
Well, yeah, but it's a balance. Like if Lauren wins, I'll own up to the fact that I was completely wrong, but I would be shocked if Lauren wins.
Okay.
So, I'll just stick with Carolyn. But here's my question. Now that Carolyn kind of like did her big move with her idol, and now that we have Heidi with her idol, who does her big move with her idol take out? I would say it's either Carolyn or Jam, and I would say that boosts Heidi way up there.
This is what gives me anxiety about this, right? Is because, and maybe it's, y'all can tell me, is it maybe my perspective of a viewer or as a player, because she has held on to the idol for so long, and realizes that like I can't just use the idol. Like I have to make sure that I use
So
the
she might
idol.
misuse it.
Like it
It
gives
might
me
fall on her.
it gives me anxiety that she might fumble the idol just because of the pressure that is being put on it. And am I putting pressure on it? Am I spicing it, or do y'all feel that pressure?
No, I agree with you. I think that's very possible. Like, if I'm in Heidi's shoes now, obviously easier having watched things unfold. I would say, hey, if there's a way that I can get the Tika 3 out in the next 3 votes and like sort of lead that charge, I would feel very confident about my chances going up against Lauren and Jamie. And so, but with that being said, there's that pressure. She's like, in order to do that, I need to play like a Chris Underwood type of game where I do things like, for the final few votes, I do things like flawlessly. And so yeah, with that pressure, it's not saving herself with it might not be enough. So she might have that added pressure where she's like, I really got to do something crazy, and that's like you're swinging for the fences. Like you might hit a home run or you might strike out.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So okay. So I stand corrected in that, you know, it might not fall on one of these players. It might fall on herself.
I mean,
But much likely,
I feel she's smart enough to make it work. It just for me is when you in the 7th inning and you know you down 1, you up the bat, it's loaded. I mean, you up the base, it's loaded. You got a RPI of 6, and you gotta, I just make my ankle swell up a little bit. I got my hands get a little sweaty. I gotta make sure I knock it out the park.
Whoa.
I just thought about that.
Keep your little. Anyway,
not too much.
Should Danny have gone for Franny when he did?
I mean,
does Danny keep another meat shield or whatever, another big character in the game with him, so that they can kind of like keep targets on one another and go forward in the game together?
I always like to keep a good meat shielder.
Hindsight's obviously 2020, but I will say, like the last couple of weeks with Dan, even when Danny played his idol for Franny, I was like, Danny's setting himself up to go out in the next couple of weeks. And but in Danny's defense, like this episode, I think you don't know that Carolyn has an idol, so it's hard to like predict that. Even of course, the idol actually didn't matter, but if I'm Danny, I just think it's kind of ridiculous that Jamie and Lauren voted for me and not for Carson, like just the way the numbers are. So I think Danny did say, like we talked about this earlier, you gotta like the best way to move, the people you gotta align yourself with are the people that have like similar desires in the game.
So,
and for me, I would have thought that Lauren and Jamie would realize that you need to target Tika right now.
So, but listen to this though, right? So Lauren doesn't get credit for taking Danny out, somebody that she wasn't really aligned with, and taking a big, like that doesn't go to like her being on the right side of and making a path.
I think it's a bad move.
So wait a minute. Can y'all break this down for me a little bit now? Lauren and Jamie made this move. They heard Danny's plan and were like, we're gonna do our own thing. Is that what happened?
Well, I think Carson / Carolyn / maybe Jam Jam were able to convince them to come with them.
Okay, so they got them over there. So now, Brice, to your point, if I'm Lauren and I'm like, okay, who I think my biggest threat is out here right now, or the person that I don't particularly jive with or whatever.
Not jive.
Yeah, you know. Okay, I'm getting my dad lingo down. The person that I don't really, you know, maybe that is Danny for her.
And that's what I'm saying. And so it's like she worked with Danny until she had to. She got her lick back. Danny took out Brandon, one of her closest allies. She got it back. That's what I'm saying to Jack a little bit. Go ahead.
I know what you're saying, but now I'm like, but the Tika 3 has voted together every vote other than the last one, but now they're back together. And if you take out Danny, then it's going to be 3 Tika, you, Jamie, and Heidi. Like, what are you guys really going to do?
And I mean, we're going to have to see if they get a Tika out next week.
But so much harder to do now. Whereas if you take out Carson,
ain't nothing been easy.
then the playing field is wide open for you to, because then I think she and Lauren would be right in the middle of Jam Jam and Carolyn, and then Heidi and Danny, and then they'd act. And that's what I wanted to say, and I think that reflects what I wanted to say is, for me, not to say that they haven't been maneuvering pretty well, but the difference between like a floater and someone who's playing the middle is when you're playing the middle, you have access to both sides and you're steering the vote. But in my opinion, Lauren and Jamie have had access to both sides, but haven't steered the vote. They sort of just hopped on people's plans, right?
So, so edit
Like,
wise,
when
maybe
Lauren and Jamie went to we see them going to people and rallying numbers to vote somebody. It's more like people don't see them as threats, so they come to them with information, and then they're like, "Okay, we'll hop on." Like,
but they're the reason why Danny went home. Sorry,
right?
Bryce. So like,
not even
if had they voted a different way.
Well, if they voted Carson, Danny still would have been idled out,
right?
You know, but not to disagree. Like, say there was no idols, whatever. They just voted with them straight up, and so like, yeah, I guess they were the deciding people. Here they were, like, aside from the idol possibilities, the swing vote, the deciding votes. But like, in my opinion, it's the wrong move. So just because you're the swing vote and you go with like the move that's not even good for you, like, that's not good game. Whereas say they were the swing vote, in my opinion, if they're the swing vote, they go with Danny, they take out Carson, and then they use that swing position going forward to leverage, you know, Danny and Heidi against Jam Jam and Carolyn, and they're able to put them at war with each other and guide the votes and take out people from both sides. That's a game that they could actually emerge from successfully, and maybe Lauren can take down the win. But
I just feel like, for me, it's like, yeah, if they would have went with Danny, with Carson, Carolyn would have played her idol. They would have looked, Danny would still went home. But they not on. But I mean, I get what you're saying, but I just feel like the door is open. I feel like you just shutting the door down, and I feel like their door is still open. And I feel like we don't see a lot, though. I feel like there's been big personalities, and I feel like there are narratives being told because it's easier to be told. But I feel like there are still things that people have contributed that we might not have saw, and I feel like that Lauren and Jamie going against a Danny as opposed to going with Danny's Carson, for me, takes a little bit more convincing than a Carolyn.
I think
for them to do it.
For them, yeah. I think they're like, look, we watched Danny almost win a bunch of challenges. There might not be a time to shoot a shot at him. Let's get him out of here. The cards are going to shuffle, and okay, there will still be a Tika 3, but I'm betting on myself, and I'm not betting on the Tika 3.
But I get what Jack is saying. Like, you got to have plans.
I will say for Lauren, like, she's navigated pretty well. She's getting herself towards the end. She's giving herself maybe a chance, and maybe I'm discrediting that because of the edit, where, like, just based on the edit, I don't think she has a shot to win. So it's easier to be like, this is what you did, like, could have been different.
Right.
But at the same time, like, that's what I will say. The difference for me between playing the middle and, like, floating, not even to say that they are floating, because I think that's doesn't give enough credit to playing the game. But if you're playing a great middle game, you're steering votes from the middle. If you're floating, you're in the middle because no one's, like, trying to take you out. So they're just trying to rope you into their votes because they're not worried about you. And so, like, for me, Lauren, and maybe there is a case to get Danny, but Lauren and Jamie haven't steered any votes, really. They've been a good, and not to say being a part of a lot of majority votes is not a bad thing, but at some point you need to be like, this is our move. We got to make it. And even taking out Danny, maybe there is a case for that. I'm sure if I talked to them, they had the information out there, they could explain it. But I just feel like now you're going to the final 6, facing a super tight Lord.
But you going to the final 6 though, okay?
But like, if that's how we want to think about the game, then that's not how strategy should work. Like, there's a very different strategy to get, like, 3rd place than it is to get 1st. So, so that now they're facing this big 3, and also they're facing this. I just realized they're facing this Tika 3. And they're the 2 that just voted for Heidi. So now it's even harder for them to come together as a strong front against Tika. like
But
they
what
have
you
no
say?
leverage.
But what did you say? Your end goal. I can trust you, and if my like, so they can come back this episode,
Yeah, but
and
it's not much easier. Whereas maybe for Heidi now she could be like, okay, let me take out Lauren, and then I'm gonna get to 5, play my idol, and then make my own move. Like, of course, I think they'll realign, but when you know it's about to be 3-3, and like your best case is probably going to Rocks, it's not a great sign for your group's intergroup like connection and like strength and trust that you literally just voted for them. Like,
do you know what this is?
you winding it
It's
up.
your hand.
You
And a
gotta
terrible
listen
sound
and
effect.
watch.
You revving the engine.
Terrible.
Oh, you turn the stove on?
You turning up. That one thing is for certain. Two things is for sure. The stove is on. Okay. Try. Okay. They cooking something. Something is on the grill. Okay.
What's up with that candle, bro?
It's a
Is it burnt?
sausage. It's a sausage. Okay. It got the flame. It is
Why
season
is that candle
44
so
is
blue,
underway. And regardless of if you think it's a floater, if you think it's a middle, if you think you jump into water and it go, I'm here for it. Okay.
He's gonna beat you up when you see him.
Please. Okay. Danny could try. Okay.
Oh.
He might be a seasoned boxer. This might be my first fight. Oh, when I see Danny, I'm gonna go.
Danny, yo, beat up Brice. Don't beat up me. We love you over here. You know that.
But I love the season. This is how you know the season gets good when Jack pulls his hair up and it's like, but no, I love it. But this, I'm here for it. I love the debates.
Can we take a moment to say something about Danny?
What?
Anything other than
Danny?
Yeah,
Oh.
great character. I enjoyed watching him.
Oh yes. Oh yeah. You will be missed. Okay. I thought that you brought the energy, the lively. Again, what you lacked in height, you brought in personality. You brought in scheming. You everything.
I was getting Tony vibes for a long time.
I really was, and I know the cameramen probably are going to although they probably will miss him. I'm sure the cameramen. They could just stand up now. Because a lot of cameramen was like,
Stop.
I know, Dick will cuss me out.
No, Danny was. I really enjoyed Danny. Like he was a pretty good strategist in my opinion, and also just brought a lot of personality and energy and played the game hard, which didn't always work out. But like that's what you want. If you eat of all Danny's, it's gonna be a crazy fun season. So
could you imagine? That would be a lot. But yeah, I like the energy level. You took risk. You had fun with it. And so you definitely will be missed. And hopefully we'll see you soon.
I hope so.
And listen, Daddy Daddy, if you watching, y'all want to listen. And I'm gonna go.
Take us out, Brice. Get out of here.
And then he's gonna go.
Where is this beef coming from?
There is no beef.
You always beef with somebody.
No, I don't. I
love
love.
Danny.
Y'all know I have a thing. I love short kings. So listen.
Clearly.
Wow. What? Oh, wow.
I love
hurt
Danny.
you.
But no, this has been Seasons Cooking Up. Next week looks like a great episode, and I am just excited for. Had a thought, but never mind. But yeah, we'll be back next week.
Apologize for the 2-hour pod.
I mean, do we? Jack got high. Oh, also, well, I was gonna say shout out to Jack Internet, but shout out to Jack's phone.
Thank you, Jesus.
Thank God.
Okay, shout out. What you got? Verizon, T-Mobile,
AT&T.
Okay, come on, AT&T.
I also got AT&T for my Wi-Fi.
Oh no! We gotta fix that.
Damn.
Yeah.
But all right, we'll be back next week. This has been your Survivor News, and make sure y'all go check out Jack's new headshots. Go under there and light them up. I want to see some Jack Shacks in the building. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll be back. This has been your Survivor News. Oh, sorry. Thought Danny was on my foot. Almost
It was
kicked
just a
her
rat.
out.
It was just a rodent.
No, don't do that. Okay, because if we want to talk about rats, I've never had
Hey, let's
I've
go.
never had a
See
rat
ya.
in my home.
See you
Jack, have you ever had
later.
a rat in your house?
It is time to go.
Oh.
Okay, Wendell, have you ever had a rat in your
Bye-bye.
house?
See what happened
Okay.
was
All right.
I left the door, whatever.
And who did you call to come get it?
You didn't even come.
Well, that was 3:00 in the morning, but I am sorry.
Goodbye.
I, didn't pick up.
I
All
have
right.
stuff to do.
No, you don't. But all right. Bye.
Survivor News.
Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News.